Have you ever found yourself playing ranked and a game just becomes unwinnable no matter how good you think you played? Well, you can try and blame it on Alpha Gunner 67 selling your team. More than likely, it was actually because of your draft. Drafting is one of, if not the most important skill in Brawl Stars if you ever want to make it out of Mythic. However, even in Legendary, often people still don't know how to draft. I can almost guarantee that if you learn how to draft well, you can get to Masters easily, even if your actual skills suck. To start off, drafting itself consists of 5 different stages: banning, first pick, middle picks, last pick, and actually playing the game. I will go over each phase in this video, and just because you're legendary already or think you know all the stages, I recommend sticking around for actually useful information that can help you push higher with just small changes to your actual gameplay. Starting off, we have one of the most overlooked parts of draft: bans. In rank, you unlock bans in Diamond, so you would assume that by the time players reach Masters, they would actually learn to ban. But a lot of people just pick their least favorite brawler or skip banning entirely. When I was a wee legendary peak, I was told advice from several YouTubers to quote unquote, just ban whatever feels annoying to you. But I'm here to tell you that is not at all correct. If you actually want to push high into rank, you have to understand bans. There are 3 different types of bans possible. Starting off, we have if you are first pick. When you are first pick, you need to ban the brawlers that are actually most likely to catch your own team by surprise. These are most likely going to be assassins or tanks. The reason for this is that it is extremely stupid to first pick an assassin or a tank, even when they're broken. Therefore, it leaves them open for your enemy team to take in their second and third pick, and you cannot have that because Edgar, Mortis, Bull used to be, BB used to be, they all at some point were extremely broken, but they were also all terrible first picks. So if you're not first picking the most broken brawler, then that leaves 2 chances for second and third pick to pick the most broken brawler. Do you understand why you have to ban them? The second type of possible ban is if your team is last pick. You want to ban out the most popular first options or ones that's hard to counter, because as we will cover later, the goal of second and third pick is partially to counter first pick. The last type of possible ban is simply banning the most broken brawlers. I'm now going to give an example for each one. If you are last pick, ban Crow or Otis or Colette, because in the current meta, they were all very safe first picks. However, the meta will change, so be aware of new safe first picks if you are watching in the future. If you are first pick, at least in this meta, ban Mortis or Edgar or Shade or Lumi, anything extremely good into you that can't be picked first pick. Lastly, if you are confused on what to ban, you can just ban the most broken brawler. Generally, this is always the newest brawler out, and by the time this guide is released, it will probably be Star Nova. In the past, it's been Damien, Globert, Naja, etc. Basically, the most broken brawler that you cannot have anyone in the ranked match pick. Okay, wait, before we get into picks, could you please like the video? It takes about 5 seconds of your time and helps me so much, and I really want this video to do good. And maybe, just maybe, if you found this helpful, you could subscribe or leave a comment. In fact, leave a comment saying any other guides you'd want me to make or areas of Brawl that you're struggling with. Okay, back to drafting. Now, we can officially move on to the more interesting part of draft. First pick. As first pick, you have to pick a brawler that is uncounterable as possible. If you go a brawler like Barley, then of course you've just lost because the enemy team can go Mortis. However, if you go a brawler like Otis, then the enemy team will have a much harder time because Otis barely has any counters. Good first picks in the current meta are Colette, Otis, Crow, kinda Chester, and kind of Gus. I want to do a small side rant here and talk about what not to first pick. There are very obvious brawlers like assassins and throwers that you must never first pick. However, there are some less obvious ones. Squishy brawlers. If you look at the list of good first picks, they all consistently don't die, and especially not to assassins. Colette has a gadget and a super, Otis has his mute, Crow can just jump away, Chester obviously kills assassins, and Gus has his shield. If you are picking Naja or Poco first, you run the risk of getting absolutely fried by a Bull or a Mortis or an Edgar. And I cannot stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. Do not go Bo first pick because he is a terrible first pick. And I see people pick him, and I'm just like, the game is over. We have lost if you go Bo first pick because then you can just go Mortis and win because Mortis activates all of Bo's mines and kills Bo for free. So don't go Bo, but also try not to go squishy brawlers. I'm going to once again repeat, good first picks in the current meta are Colette, Otis, Crow, sometimes Chester, and sometimes Gus. I think Otis has been the most consistent one for about 5 months in that he's really easily first pickable because he has barely any counters. Moving on, we have the middle picks. These are your second, third, fourth, and fifth picks. These picks are more of the Wild West in terms of good picks. It really depends on what the first pick was. If you are second and third pick, you want to try and counter first pick as much as possible. If they go Dynamite, you go Mortis Edgar. If they go Edgar, you go Shelly Bull. You can now see why it's so important to have good, safe first picks, because the game literally assigns 2 people to try and counter you as much as possible. If you feel like it's too hard to find a counter, for example, if they first pick Otis, a brawler with almost no counters, you can go the next safest pick, for example, Crow. This is because the very next picks, 4th and 5th pick, are meant to counter your counters. However, they have another secret job and a much harder job. 4th and 5th pick have to juggle figuring out how to counter your brawlers that counter their brawlers, while also trying to figure out what's a good last pick and how to stop it. Let's say you're on Knockout, Flaring Phoenix. The other team picks Daryl and Byron as their second and third picks. It is extremely obvious that they're trying to do a dumb hit Daryl strategy, so you understand that their last pick will be Kit. You also have to think of good counters to Daryl and Byron, while also thinking of how you're going to scare them out of going Kit. Personally, I would go Edgar, Cordelius, in order to counter Byron and stop Kit Daryl Cheese, because Cordelius is a really good counter to Kit Daryl Cheese. If you super the Daryl while the kit's on him, the kit will be detached. And of course, Edgar can just kill a Byron. He can obviously kill a Kit too, and he's decent into Daryl, but I wouldn't recommend jumping into him, obviously. So this is probably one of the simplest versions of a draft, but it gets very complicated very quickly. If you can't think of what their last pick is going to be, focus on what they have already picked and try and counter that. But try and not make it too weak to something, like going a bunch of squishy brawlers that get absolutely cooked by a Bull, or going 2 throwers to counter the fact that they have no wall breaks, and then they last pick Mortis. So you have to kind of go a side that's a little bit more safe, but still counters them. Ideally, you would go something that also cancels out all good last pick options. Speaking of last pick, we are now onto our 4th segment of the draft, last pick. In my opinion, this is the easiest pick. However, it completely changes whether you win or lose. If you have last pick, you want to play the brawler that counters all or almost all of the enemy team brawlers. You can also pick a brawler that counters one specific brawler you know is going to be annoying for your teammates. I'll give one example of each scenario. Let's say on Sneaky Fields, your teammates have Otis and Clancy, and the enemy team has Larry Lori, Colt, and Bull. A good last pick would be Edgar. Even though Bull destroys Edgar, Edgar beats both Larry Lori and Colt. Not only that, but your teammates are 2 tank counters who are able to kill the Bull easily, letting you torture the other 2 brawlers. Another example is if your teammates have Mortis and Chester, and the enemy team has Otis, Crow, and Colette on dueling beetles. You can go Barley or Sirius or Larry to try and punish the fact that they have no thrower or wall break. A side note for scenarios in which you are trying to counter as many picks as possible, often assassins, tanks, and throwers work best. Going tank counters or damage dealers are often not going to counter the enemy team. Another option, however, is wall break. If your teammates have a lot more range than the enemy team, or if they went a thrower, you can actually go wall break to counter that. Okay, now for countering a specific brawler, this will almost always be either an assassin or tank, but tank counters can work too, in terms of trying to counter one specific brawler. It's all a lot more situational. Not only that, but the brawlers you should be countering should always be the scariest on their team that your teammates don't already counter. Often those are throwers, tanks, or assassins. If you're trying to counter an Edgar, or really any assassin pick, you can go a tank or a tank counter, for example Bull or Chester. However, if the enemy team has two anti-tanks, maybe it would be a better idea to go Chester. If you're trying to counter a thrower, like Barley, you can go an assassin or a wall break. If the enemy team has way more range, it would be smarter to go an assassin. But if the enemy team has tank counters, it would be better to go wall break. And lastly, if you want to counter a tank, it's almost always the best idea to pick an extreme tank counter like Colette, Chester, or even Clancy. In some scenarios, you may be able to go thrower, but I wouldn't recommend it because unless it's serious, you're not going to be able to do enough damage. So to set up an example, we are on Bell's Rock, and the enemy team has Sprout, Gray, and Piper, and your teammates have Bell and Charlie. What do you go? Correct, or maybe incorrect. But what you're supposed to go is any assassin. So maybe Mortis or Edgar or even a Kit would be interesting because you're trying to counter the Sprout. Your teammates Bell and Charlie can deal with the Piper and Gray, but what are a Bell and Charlie going to do against a Sprout? So Sprout is therefore the most dangerous on their team and the one that you have to take care of. You could also go wall break in this scenario, but when you think about it, your teammates have the same amount of range as the enemy team, so therefore it wouldn't be that beneficial to go wall break compared to going an assassin. Okay, one more. Hot zone, open business. Your team has Leon and Pierce, and the enemy team has Mortis, Meeple, and Clancy. What do you go? Correct, or maybe not. You should have gone an anti-aggro tank counter like Chester or Otis or Charlie or even Shelly. If you said a tank, you were wrong because they have both Meeple and Clancy. They can easily feed off you, and Meeple has a stun gadget that can easily counter you if you're going aggro. The best pick here, in my opinion, was actually Griff because he opens the walls for Pierce, counters Mortis, and Meeple and Clancy don't have enough range for the open walls to actually be beneficial to them. So now we've finished draft, and I guess we're completely done, right? Wrong. You could be the best drafter in the world, but if you don't do this last step, you'll be hard stuck bronze. Our last and most important step is actually playing your draft. I don't mean how good your mechanics are in game. I mean understanding how your draft will play out. If you pick Edgar because they had a Barley, actually try and target the Barley. This may sound easy, but in practice, a lot of players don't do it. If you don't already know, Brawl Stars has lanes. Each part of the map is split into different lanes. Always try and lane the brawler you counter. Not only that, but there are some specific brawlers picked for specific things, so try to fulfill your role. For example, if you pick a wall break like Brock or Griff, actually break the walls. If you pick heist damage, ignore kills and actually damage the safe. There are countless examples, but you need to actually understand why your pick was good and what you can do with it. It can be easy to turn your brain off after draft, but you need to be constantly thinking about what you should do different and what your role in the game is. Now I'm going to play a few games and just show you guys how I'm thinking about my drafting in bans and what I do in game. Alright, starting off we have Heist Safe Zone. Just thinking of, okay, so we are last pick, so we want to ban really good first picks. So good first picks on Heist Safe Zone are Colette, of course. You could also go Crow, you can go Colt, you can go Naja's okay, you can go Penny. So I'm going to ban the Colt because he's a really good first pick here. He has safe damage, he can kill people, he can break walls, he can counter assassins with his reload gear. So they first pick Colette. I'm second pick. I want to think of a decent counter to Colette or something that helps us along the line. So I'm going to go Crow, I think, because he's just a really good pick right now in Heist itself. Not really countering the Colette per se, but it's hard to counter Colette because she's kind of a safe pick. Normally what you could do to counter the Colette is go something like Ruffs or Charlie, who has spawnables, because Colette does really badly into spawnables. However, Ruffs and Charlie aren't exactly the best for Heist, and especially not Safe Zone. Okay, they go Carl and Melody. Honestly, this would be a free buzz game, but I'm not going to say that because that's a bit of an awkward pick and I don't want to make my teammate play that. So they're going to go Eve, I think. Eve is a terrible pick here, and I'm just going to explain why. She doesn't counter the Melody, right? We have no one to really counter the Melody. I'm going to be the best bet. I'm probably going to be playing defense the whole time. And she doesn't counter the Carl at all. In fact, Carl counters her. So let's look at it. They have double aggro. They have Carl and Melody, and the only slightly anti-aggro we have is a Crow, right? In fact, Eve and Naja get ran down by aggro. So this was a really terrible draft by them. Yo, what's up, guys? So this is VoiceOverMe. Basically, this entire game, my goal is to just get as much supercharge as possible and try and head up on the safe, while also being literally the only one to defend, because my teammates cannot defend. Like, look at that. Carl literally gets a team wipe, and they get free positioning and a safe crack, all because we have no defense for that. I don't know why they went Eve in the first place, right? So I head up here. I am already halfway to hypercharge. I literally get hypercharge right here, right? I am the only person doing anything right now. So Carl hypers on safe. Terrible hyper, by the way. So I have hypercharge. I try to head up here because I'm the only one who can do safe damage. So I jump on the safe, right? I get a safe crack. All good. I don't know why this Eve's not shooting anywhere. There we go. So I head up again. Melody is, of course, on us because what are they going to do against the Melody? I kill the Melody. I think I jump right there. Okay, honestly, I get pretty good damage. We should be able to crack the safe again. We don't somehow. And then, of course, I have to waste my jump on this Melody because there's no other way to defend. Like, this is literally an impossible game to win. But somehow, by the way, somehow I've gotten 2 hypers this game. And we're still at 25 on our safe. So I'm like, maybe if I can just head up, and maybe if this Naja can defend with the Eve babies, right? Naja literally just can't defend for anything because it's a Naja. I don't know why we picked this. It's such a terrible pick. Don't be like these people. If they're going aggro, you have to counter aggro instead of just playing fun brawlers that you want to play. I think what their initial goal was that, okay, spawnables counter Colette and spawnables counter Melody, right? Eve has spawnables, Naja has spawnables. Surely they counter them. But no, because Melody can just run through and ignore your spawnables. And Colette's not even a problem. We have a Carl on safe. Do you see that? He just gets free value. And then look at this. They head in, and Naja can't defend, and then I can't defend. And then Carl just wipes all of the Eve babies anyway. Don't be like these guys. If you see aggro, you have to counter the aggro. Alright, we have parallel plays. This one's a really awkward map to draft into, but we should be fine. So they have first pick, so I'm going to ban safe first pick brawlers, such as Crow or Colette would be fine. Even Naja would be a good ban. Damien would also be fine here just because he's so broken. I don't like the Barley ban. Why? Like, what is the point in doing that? We have a last pick. If they pick Barley, we just go an assassin. I don't like any of these picks, to be honest. These are all really awkward picks. Okay, now we have to think of a last pick who counters all of these picks, and to be honest, I'm not sure. I would go maybe Lumi if I had her. I don't have her, so I'm honestly a little torn on what to go here. I think I'm just going to go Kenji because I don't know. It's a vibe. I'm not going Tara. No, I don't feel like it. No, I don't feel like it. But I think Kenji is fine because I can hit shade through walls. I think I tie with the Cord 50-50 matchup, and I should win against Amiibo even if he has the knockback gadget. So we're going to go Kenji, and to be honest, just hope for the best. This is such a weird and bad draft from my team mostly. I mean, they had a really good shade pick into like BB, and you can just tell my teammates are peak L1. What's up, guys? It is VoiceOverMe again, and honestly, I played a really good Kenji here. It's kind of a free Kenji game looking back on it because you can hit shade through walls. You can kind of just destroy everyone. Even if Meeple knocks you back, so what? You just run back on him. Like, he doesn't have enough DPS. You can just stay away from Shade. See how I'm like hitting, I don't know if you can see that, but I am hitting Shade through the walls, right? So I die here, kind of sad. But our teammates are doing okay too. I wouldn't really recommend the picks that they went. Don't learn from that, but definitely learn from the Kenji. He's really good. Like, look at that. I'm literally hitting them through walls. I get a double slice. I try and hit through walls there. I don't. But look, like, I still get that kill somehow. So Kenji's just a really, really, really good pick into Shade because you can avoid Shade shots and then right after go in and hit him through the wall because your slash is a little weird. It's so fast that if he slightly peeks out of the wall, and then here I die to the cord. And this is what I'm talking about when I say like playing your lane. You want to actually go where it's valuable for you to go. So I kind of waste a lot of time up here. And I realize I'm not ever going to win into a court. I have to think about the draft. The people who I win into are not there, right? So I go on this meeple and it's like a free win. Obviously. And then I go here. It's a little awkward. I go back into the court. But in the end, I'm able to get it because I have my teammates with me. And this was just such an easy game. It's kind of insane. So that's what happens when you have a good last pick. Like without this, what were we going to do with a BB and a dub, right? So it's really just about how you draft. All right. Last one is Bell's Rock. We have first pick now. Finally, we can ban first pick brawlers. So we want to ban Edgar probably. Other good bans here would be any assassin, honestly. Maybe Naja too. Edgar, Naja, Mortis, Damien, Sirius even would not be a bad ban here. If our teammate goes Rico, okay. He's going Otis. Otis is fine. He's a little low range. Personally, what I would go first pick here is a Byron or a Bell. Those are two really, really safe first picks on Knockout and Bounty. See how they go Bell? Because, oh, yeah, oh my god, look at that. See how they go Byron and Bell? So, to be honest, what I should go here, I don't like Piper anymore because she doesn't kill people anymore because she takes 3 shots, but she's actually pretty good into this comp. Because Piper actually counters both Bell and Byron, so we're going to go Piper to counter both of them. Now our teammate kinda has to do important work in predicting that they're going to go thrower because they probably would have gone thrower if he didn't go Leon. So now we have anti-thrower, we have anti-aggro, and we have anti-picks they actually did. So it's going to be hard for them to go any assassin or any thrower, and they go squeak, semi-thrower, semi-sniper. Honestly, the squeak pick isn't the best pick because I outrange squeak, and Leon should be able to kill the squeak. Like, they have nothing for Leon, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, what's up, guys? It is VoiceOver me again, and pretty much I want to highlight this game because it is really good, especially the 4th and 5th pick. Piper was super good, and it shows you don't always have to consider last pick and counter. You want to try and have one person do one and one person do the other because it creates a kind of variety in your draft. So it was really good that our teammate knew to counter a potential thrower last pick and go Leon. I think that was really valuable. So here I see where my teammate is kind of losing because by teammate I mean our Otis, right? So I was like, oh, I'm gonna lane Bell because it's such a nice lane. It's so free because she just won't hit shots. But then I realized Byron actually has more range than Bell. So this is kind of what I'm talking about, playing your lane. I have the most range on our team, so I should go into the person with the most range. If that person is Byron, then I should be going into Byron, so our Otis can maybe hit a little bit more shots on one of the other brawlers with actually less range. So I'm trying to lane Byron here, and another thing is Piper actually 2-taps Byron. It's like one of 3 brawlers that Piper can still 2-tap. So we easily win this round. I honestly, when I look back at it, I don't know what my teammates were doing. They're like double laning, but it's fine. So we kind of just play middle, which is such an odd thing to do, but I think it's okay. Leon has invis. I don't know why he didn't go invis earlier. And then this Byron just goes AFK. I don't know what happened with this Byron. It doesn't happen again. This isn't like some fraud match, but it does happen once, and I don't know why. All right, so now here, I think the lanes are kind of definitely defined. I'm like, okay, I need to go into this Byron lane because everyone else is gonna suffer. So I get like a early tap on him. I'm like, maybe I can gadget this, and I can. I get another tap on him. And now Leon's laning Bell. It's not as bad as it feels laning Byron. So like everything is currently fine. But then this Byron actually switches lanes, and I get really scared by that squeak gadget. I was like, he's gonna gadget me, he's gonna gadget me. I just didn't know when, and that was when. So we literally all almost die. Very concerning. And then our Otis is so far up. I don't know what he was doing so far up. He's not an assassin. He can't kill them like that. I don't know, but that basically loses us the round. Because me and Leon were like sitting back, we're like, where are the enemies? And then suddenly we see all the enemies and they're 3v1ing our Otis, who is like in their spawn, right? So now I'm like, I don't know about this Otis, but we're gonna keep going on the Byron. And I noticed the Byron has swapped lanes. The Byron knows what's up, so he's not trying to outrange them. But I can easily get back on him, and really we're just waiting. We're kind of dueling it out while our team is doing who knows what. And look at that. I actually get the 2-tap on him because, as I said, one of the only brawlers that can still 2-tap. No, one of the only brawlers that Piper can still 2-tap is Byron, right? So we're just going to continue on Byron lane. And this one doesn't go as well because I'm on Squeak lane right now. But it's like, okay, so we're really close. I don't know how this Leon dies so early. But it's like, okay, everything's generally fine. Like at least Leon got a kill, right? So we're here. We have plenty of positioning. I missed shots onto the Squeak, right? And then I'm pretty sure I was like, oh my god, he has Gadget. Our Otis gets gadgeted. Like, if he has Gadget, just don't. And then I go in here. You have to go in here. There's no way we win that otherwise. And I'm like, okay, I might as well just go in. End of round. I hypercharge. I don't make it. Here, I'm like, okay, I need to get back on the Byron. The Squeak lane was atrocious. So now I'm like, okay, I need to go on the right. I need to go on the right here. Otis follows me, and I get a quick kill. I don't know how I got that. It was really just luck, but notice how the Byron has died to me basically every time, besides the time that Leon killed him. That's what you want to happen, because the Byron is who I'm supposed to be countering, right? So that's who we're going to be killing. Alright, I think this is the last game here. And we kind of just cook up the Squeak, Like, there's nothing the Squeak can do there. I do get hit by the gadget, but it doesn't matter at this point. It's like a 2v1, and I think we managed to kill him, yeah. So that's going to be our last game. Very easy, very simple.